All right, this is Brent Leary, and with me today is Brian Pember. Brian is the Director of Customer Communications for UPS. Brian, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So we were just actually sitting in. You just got done with a presentation at the Atlanta Tribune, Atlanta Tribune's Moving Your Business Forward event, talking about using LinkedIn from a business perspective. Before we jump into some of the things you talked about, maybe you can give us a little bit of your personal background.
Sure, absolutely. I'm the Director of Customer Communications here at UPS, and I've been with the organization for about 3.5 years now. So, still somewhat new to this large organization. But prior to that, my background was in small business, and I actually ran an agency called Vista as the managing partner there for about 12 years. And so know the challenges, know the insides and the outs, and the game. The small business game that exists. I know that there are many different hats that all these different folks wear, and you're looking for the most effective and efficient ways to communicate with your constituents as well. And I think social media has become that platform for small business. And while Twitter and Facebook get a lot of the credit and they get a lot of the sound bites, LinkedIn is really perhaps the most understated of the big three, which I like to call them, in terms of actually being able to enable business and develop business conversations.
So you came from a small business background into a not so small business here at UPS. Talk about the role that LinkedIn could play in a small business for helping them to connect with the right audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And frankly, it's not much different than a big business. I mean, business is business at the end of the day, and whether you're a UPS or you're a group of 5 to 7 folks, you're still trying to influence the right people at the right time at the right place. And I think every one of our customers undergoes a customer journey to get to the conversation or get to the table to sit down and talk business with my company or with yours. And you need to understand what that journey looks like and where they're getting their information. And more, studies show, research shows that people are leveraging social media not only to reach out to their colleagues for advice and direction and who they trust and who they want to talk to, but for content that companies big and small are sharing on the issues of the day, the issues that matter in one's own industry. And that content is really becoming the currency of business and business conversation. And the people that control the language through great content, they control the debate when it gets to the selling table and sitting down and talking about who you're going to transact with.
How is interacting on LinkedIn different from Facebook and Twitter from a business perspective?
Well, I'll tell you this: interacting with LinkedIn through LinkedIn from the publisher standpoint, from a business's standpoint, is uniquely different in that I can speak to a very specific audience. With Facebook, with Twitter, while both of those platforms are getting better at identifying specific audiences, often it's around what they're interested in, or it's around very generic areas in terms of what they like, who they follow, what they're talking about. With LinkedIn, I can get very specific. So if I want to target CEOs in the healthcare industry in the eastern portion of the United States with revenue over $100 million, I can do that very specifically with LinkedIn. And I can do that through organic posts to people that are already following me. So I can go in and I can analyze my following by that specific criteria, and I can push information out that I know is valuable only to them, and make sure that they have a higher likelihood of seeing it. Or I can do that through a paid strategy. LinkedIn is very good about giving a return on investment for an advertising spend. And If I'm investing that dollar in radio or television or even digital media, I only know vaguely what my audience is. And I know that probably within that broadcast mechanism, that somewhere in there's somebody that's relevant to me. And what I like about LinkedIn is it's not about broadcasting, it's about narrowcasting. And it's finding that very small and specific pool of individuals that I know what I have to say, if I can reach them, will resonate and be relevant, and hopefully I'll get that return on my investment when they reach back out to me and ask for more.
So how do you marry kind of that narrow targeting, either through organic or through ads, with the thought leadership aspects of what LinkedIn has to offer?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's precisely it, right? So my job as an influencer, as a business that has something to say and something to sell, is to provide something of value. And it is that content, that thought leadership content, the things that I have access to that maybe somebody else doesn't, the insight, the tools, the resources that I can bring to bear that would have impact on their industry. If I can package that and I can present that to them in a compelling way, an original way, a creative way through these channels, and more, LinkedIn is allowing you to package your content in just about any way you want, whether it's traditional short form content that you see every day on social media, or video content that becomes very compelling, or even long form content. I can use LinkedIn as my blog on a regular basis. I can use it as my own publication platform, and publish white papers. I can publish thought leadership pieces. I can publish essays, things that matter to my constituents. That is what really drives value in terms of conversation. That value creates trust, it creates engagement and involvement, and that involvement leads to relationships and commitment over time.
So if you look at the importance of LinkedIn versus some of the other social channels, do you see a higher engagement rate when it comes to LinkedIn? Does it give you the more opportunities for engagement compared to the other ones, or is it kind of along the same lines with just a better audience to target to?
It's a great question, and what I don't see is a higher engagement. In fact, I see a lower engagement rate on LinkedIn significantly from what I post on Facebook, where a brand like UPS could post something and get 30 or 40,000 likes, 1,000 comments, and reach a significant number of people through that engagement and sharing. What I find on LinkedIn is that we get only a small fraction of that, but those comments, those shares, those likes, those acknowledgments are often more meaningful for two reasons. One, I'm usually fishing in a smaller pool, right? I've got 1.5 million followers on Facebook. I've got 300,000 on LinkedIn. But any given piece of content, so for instance, if I've got a white paper on automotive logistics, I'm not going to serve that up to 330,000 followers on LinkedIn. I'm going to serve it up to 3,000 followers that are all interested in automotive logistics, right? I'm not going to waste anybody else's time because I know they're not going to read it anyway. So I may have an audience of 330,000. I may only be targeting 1% of that, and I may only get an engagement rate of 1% of that. But if I get 30 people talking about that specific piece of information, that is actually really powerful, because usually those 30 people are very well qualified, they're in the industry, and they want to learn more. And that's the type, I'll take quality over quantity all day long.
Very interesting. Thanks again, Brian, for your time today. And where can people learn more about what you guys are doing on LinkedIn?
Oh, absolutely. You can follow us on LinkedIn on a daily basis. In fact, we have a small business group. If you go to and search for under companies for UPS for small business, we have an ongoing dialogue of content that takes place specifically around that area. Encourage you to follow us, and hopefully it'll be a valuable. We'll be serving up some valuable content for you.
Thanks.
Thank you.